I'm Alec, and I have a confession. I was the valedictorian of my high school, graduated from Stanford Medical School, and completed my anesthesiology residency at Harvard. But yesterday, I learned that I have ADHD. This was admittedly a bit of a shock, but getting diagnosed with ADHD helps me understand why I struggled with certain things more than my classmates did. I didn't want to believe that I could have ADHD for a long time. I was scared that it would mean that there was something wrong with me. But by sharing my story, I hope I can help other people who might be struggling to get things done or not living up to their potential, like I did. Before we begin, please keep in mind that while I have personal experience with ADHD, I'm not a mental health professional, and this video should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Throughout this video, I'll discuss 6 indicators of ADHD that I either missed or had to overcome, even as I achieved more and more outward success. So whether you or someone close to you has ADHD, or you just find it hard to get things done, I hope my challenges and the strategies I used can help you. Let's jump in. The first sign was impulsivity / inattention or hyperattention. One of the biggest challenges for me in recognizing that I might have ADHD was that the diagnosis of ADHD depends on degree as opposed to depends on like whether something exists or not. So Dr. Russell Barkley, who is a noted expert in adult ADHD, I was watching a lecture of his where he was talking about how in something like schizophrenia, right, you might have hallucinations or you might have what are called positive symptoms, right? Positive symptoms mean that they are something that are present in this person that would not normally be present. So for example, if I have a hallucination or if I have a delusion or if I have this false belief that like my television is beaming thoughts into my brain, that is something that people don't normally have. And so if I were to have that, it would be a clear sign, oh, okay, there's something different. In the case of ADHD, one of the things that I struggled with was that it's really a matter of degree, meaning like everyone is inattentive at times. Everyone has impulsive, sort of impulses at times. But in the case of ADHD, it's just more than normal, right? It's sort of like the higher part of the bell curve. One thing that I struggled with is like, well, I mean, everyone talks about this. Like this is something that everyone sort of experiences. But what I've realized is that I think I was just having more, like everyone with ADHD, I was having more challenges with this than like your neurotypical person. One thing I noticed is that like when I would be doing flashcards, so I still do all of my Anki flashcards. I've done them every day basically since 2009. One thing I've noticed is that whenever I get to a hard Anki flashcard, I will like impulsively, like reflexively just check my email. And it's like I'm kind of running away from an uncomfortable situation. And I just noticed that like, it's very, very difficult for me when I was studying in college or when I was studying in medical school. I had to basically block the internet. I was probably one of the earliest users of applications that would block access to email or block access to the internet so that I could just focus. Because if I had anything else available to me, it was like my attention would just shift. One of the things that I'm learning is that there's a misconception that it's not really inattention with ADHD, but it's hyperattention, that your attention is just so, like you have such a high attention to things, it's constantly switching between different things. And that very much would describe what it is that I was going through when I was studying, because I would focus on a flashcard, but then something else would come into my head, or there would be something that would be uncomfortable or difficult, and I would just switch to something else. A second sign of ADHD that I think is related to the inattention and particularly the impulsivity is that I have a tendency of being relatively extreme or having to take extreme measures as adaptations to try to get things done. This is something that I haven't seen a lot of, to be honest. If you have experience with this, please feel free to leave it in the comments, but I have a tendency of being kind of like all or nothing in things. And I found that I tend to do better if I am extreme. So for example, I didn't own a smartphone through all of high school, throughout all of college, and throughout basically all of residency. I got a smartphone at the very, very end of residency, but basically I didn't own a smartphone because I knew that if I had internet available to me when I was commuting, that I would not study. And so I actually, again, another example of how extreme I was that in order to study, I knew that I would need to study during residency, but I knew that I naturally would not want to study. And so I was in Boston, right? So I was going to the Massachusetts General Hospital, which is in Beacon Hill. And so I intentionally chose to live on the Orange Line, which was about, I think, 30 minutes away, maybe 20 or 30 minutes away. And so I knew that if I didn't own a smartphone, but I had an iPod Touch that I could use, to access my flashcards, that if I didn't have the internet, that I would be able to get more done. And so throughout basically all of residency, I would take the subway to and from work. And while I was commuting, I would just do my studying. And because I didn't have internet, there was really no distractions. And so I would have the impulse to try to, use my internet or use my email. But because I didn't give myself that option, because I took the extreme measure of just not owning a smartphone and of forcing myself to basically commute the subway, that it forced me to get stuff done. Another example is when I dieted. So I tended to go towards diets like Atkins or keto or things like that, where you would be restrictive in what it is that you ate, but not in the quantity. A lot of people think that I have really, really good self-control because I don't eat a lot of refined sugars. I don't eat a lot of, junk food. But in reality, it's because I don't eat any refined sugars. Like I try to cut that out like completely, because when I start, like if I eat a bite of a birthday cake, like I cannot stop myself. My wife is very different. She's someone who she can eat a little bit of something and be like, oh no, I'm not really feeling it. I'm like, if I eat like one bite, I'm like, I will just keep going. And so I'm the kind of person that if I have like a spoonful of ice cream, like I can eat the entire container. And so I tend to do better if I can just be extreme and just say, okay, like I'm just not gonna do any of it, because even a little bit can lead to bad things for myself. If you're looking for better ways to get more done in less time, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I think another sign of ADHD that I think I missed was my tendency to hyperfocus, or sometimes even become obsessive or addictive at times. And so for example, when I was a child, I got really, really into video games. I played StarCraft like nobody's business, and this was the days of dial-up internet. And so I remember we had racked up like these huge internet bills. Along the same lines of being relatively extreme, I realized, okay, if I want to be successful, like I just have to cut out video games. Like I just stopped cold turkey in high school. I was like I think sort of end of middle school, early high school, where I was like, I cannot do this, because if I do this, I know that once I start playing, like I will not stop. And if I don't stop, like this is really going to continue to hurt my school. And I really wanted to do well in academics. And so I was like, okay, like I just can't do this. So I just cut it out. I think the flip side of this is that I have a tendency of becoming really, really engrossed in topics. It can kind of cut both ways. So for example, I got really, really into Anki, where I was like, I really, really want to learn this topic. This is something where I really think it could change my life. I want to know everything there is about how to make really good cards and really make this a part of my life. Same thing, I got really into the credit card points game when I was in medical school. And actually in medical school, we had like, my wife and I, we didn't have a lot of money, but we were able to basically with credit card points fly around the world in business class by just using credit card points, just because I would just obsessively just focus on like trying to learn how to get the most points and how to maximize the use of them and everything like that. In retrospect, I thought that this was just like a quirk of my personality, but I actually think that in some ways, right, like there's what I was saying were the pros and the cons of my ADHD diagnosis. The fourth sign of ADHD that I think that I didn't realize was procrastination and avoidance. One really good way of thinking about procrastination that I've learned is to think about it as sort of like the fight or flight response. If you think about it, we are wired for survival. We're not really wired for success. And so whether a lion is charging at us, or I'm facing like an uncomfortable task, or there's a difficult flashcard, there is going to be the same physiologic response to all of those psychological or physical threats. And that is the fight or flight response. When I'm procrastinating, it's just the fight or flight response. And I think that with ADHD, the way that I understand it is that I have problems with executive function. And so I have, we all have these impulses. It's just that I have a difficult time in controlling those impulses. And so for example, I had a really hard time getting started studying. Like that's always been a difficult thing for me, to the point where I actually would schedule internet blocks for myself in medical school, because like in the morning, I would just not have access to the internet. I would just block my access to it so that it would force me to study. And I would have like offline resources that I would use to basically study. Another example would be that I would give myself natural deadlines where like I did most of my studying in the morning. Even though I don't know that I'm naturally a morning person, I knew that if I had class, so at Stanford in medical school, we had class at 9 a.m. most days. And so I would make sure that I would go to bed early and wake up really early, like maybe 6 o'clock in the morning or maybe even a little bit earlier. And I would do all of my studying, or a lot of my studying in the morning before I went to class. And by doing that, it gave me the natural deadline of, okay, like I have to get this done by 9 a.m. Because if I tried to study in the evening, A, my sort of self-control was typically a lot weaker, and B, I had no natural deadlines. And so I would just continue to procrastinate and do other things. Whereas in the morning, it would be like, okay, I've got to like leave in order to get to class. So I need to like get this done. So the fifth sign of ADHD that I don't think I realized was that I have some fidgeting and motor tics. And so maybe you've noticed this in some of my videos, but I have a tendency of blinking just more than is maybe natural. And so like it was much more as a child. I mean, I definitely still do it. Another thing is that I tend to like jiggle my leg. And so these are all like non-specific signs. It doesn't mean that like, just because you have, motor tics or something like that, that it has to be ADHD, but given the totality of my other symptoms, it now makes sense like why I had these motor tics as a child and that they persist as an adult. The sixth sign of ADHD that I think I missed, or that I didn't realize, was problems of emotion regulation. One of the things that I've learned about in reading about ADHD is that oftentimes people will be adapted for a particular time, but then when their circumstances change and they need more sort of executive functioning, or they need better organizational skills, like it will basically be uncovered. And so examples of this would be like when you go to medical school for the first time, or when you have a child, like your first child, right? And the organizational needs are so much higher. For me, I think it was a couple things: having a child and having a business. And so having a business, I think has been challenging in the sense that there's like, at least in medical school, I had like a set routine where it was like I could do the same thing every day. And I realized just how valuable having that routine was. Having a business, there's like constantly things that you're, jumping from one thing to another, which on one hand I think is really enjoyable and really interesting because I'm constantly able to learn new things. But on the other hand, it's hard because I'm constantly like task switching. And I think that has been really, really challenging for me. And so it's led to a lot of the other problems of having worse procrastination and worse other things, because the needs that I have, or the needs of my job, are just different, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot, I think, when you have a business. And so that has been one thing that I've realized, is that I've had to learn how to recognize and regulate my emotions better, like being able to name my feelings. So they say you've got to name it to tame it. Like that's been sort of my mantra for so much of the last year or two of my life as I've learned that, as well as just like giving myself grace, I think, in some of these challenges. As I continue to grapple with my ADHD diagnosis, I find encouragement in recognizing the positive aspects of ADHD as well. So I've talked a lot about the negative parts. I do think that there's a lot of positive aspects. And so, for example, as a child and even as an adult, I think I tend to be a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more positive, a little bit more high energy. And I also think that I benefited a lot from the creativity and the ability to see connections that often come with ADHD. In addition to that, the challenges that I've faced with having ADHD, and especially the fact that I didn't know it, I think have also forced me to learn effective techniques for being productive and having focus. The saying goes something like, smooth waters don't make skilled sailors. And so the more challenging it is, I think that the greater the skills that I've had to develop. If you can relate to my experiences, I encourage you to check out my other content to learn more about being productive, regardless of whether you have ADHD or not.